Hello crafters, this is Yana Smakula. Welcome back to my channel. Today I have a quick hot foil stamping tip for you. One of the questions I get asked the most is, what is the best colored cardstock for hot foil stamping? And the answer is, well, I don't have an answer for you. Colored cardstock is very tricky to foil on. Some colors from one manufacturer will give you decent results, but then other colors from the same manufacturer don't foil well at all. So while I don't have an answer to the question of which colored cardstock is best for hot foil stamping, I do have an easy trick for you that will allow you to foil on any color of cardstock you want and on the cardstock you have in your stash. I was creating a birthday card with several products from my new Yana's Blooms collection with spellbinders, and I wanted to include some foiled splatter in the background. I'm a huge fan of using colored cardstock for my cards, especially for card backgrounds, but I'm often hesitant to use colored cardstock when I do hot foil stamping because I know it rarely foils well. So I tried foiling splatter in gold foil on white cardstock. This is Spellbinder's specialty glimmer paper, and it foils perfectly every single time. Meanwhile, I also colored a magnolia cluster for my card. I foiled this on Simon Says Stamp 130-pound cardstock and colored with RV00 and RV02 Copic markers. Now, the splatter foiled perfectly on the specialty white cardstock, but that's not what I wanted for my card. I wanted to add some color, as having so many white elements, the card started to look too pale and even lifeless. So this gave me the idea to foil the splatter on heat-resistant acetate, and then simply layer the acetate piece over any color cardstock I wanted. I tested my idea and it worked. The heat-resistant acetate, I'm using specialty acetate from Spellbinders, foiled perfectly. You can see the perfect splatter foiling I have on the acetate panel. And now I can layer that over any color cardstock panel I want. Now this particular cardstock is Barely Peach from Spellbinders. It is a beautiful color, but it has a little bit of texture to it, and thus it doesn't foil well at all. I mean, it will work for foiling a skinny strip sentiment, but nothing more. So by foiling my design on acetate, I can simply layer it over the colored cardstock panel, and I can have the perfect foiled design for my card. Acetate, of course, is tricky to adhere, as no matter what adhesive you use, the adhesive will be visible, but the trick is to hide the adhesive behind some other element on the card. Here, I've married the Magnolia Glimmer Blooms and geometric frame from the Gale Foliage sets, and I added foam adhesive from the back to foam mount this cluster onto the foiled acetate panel. I trimmed the excess leaves going outside the edge of the frame on the right-hand side of this cluster, and now I can center the cluster and adhere it onto my foiled acetate piece. And the acetate panel is cut exactly the same size as my card front, so 4¼ by 5½ inches, because I am making an A2 card. Now remember, this is not just any acetate, this is specialty heat-resistant acetate. The specialty heat-resistant acetate doesn't warp from the heat, and it stays perfectly flat when you foil or even when you heat emboss on it. So you can also use it for heat embossing. This particular acetate from Spellbinders is also die cuttable, meaning you can cut it out using your dies. Now, not very detailed dies, but simpler shapes. For example, if I wanted to foil the Magnolia cluster on acetate, I could cut it out with a coordinating die. So I foam mounted my cluster onto the acetate panel, and now I can add adhesive behind the paper elements on the panel to hide the adhesive, and then adhere my acetate onto the card front. And voila! This gives the appearance as if my foiling was done directly on the colored cardstock. So while I don't have a list of colored cardstock that foils well, I do have this simple trick. Get a pack of heat-resistant acetate, foil on acetate and layer that onto colored cardstock you already have in your stash. You're going to love the result. Have fun crafting, love you guys, and I'll see you next time.